Okay. So I bought a house 1 month ago. And then about 2 weeks ago, I found out that that home had a lot more issues than I originally intended or I originally thought. And this is my home buying horror story. Now, let me preface this. This process has been going on for quite a long time. I'm also telling the story because my dad loves watching YouTube. I started a channel originally because I was renovating a camper, and then we ended up renovating an office for our business. And now I'm just going to use it for any sort of projects that I have. The fact that this house is a fixer upper makes it a project, and I'm going to document it. So when I decided back in probably Christmas of 2022 that I was ready to buy a house, I was looking at things that were like 10 minutes max from my business, my parents' farm, and just kind of where I'm already at because I'm committed to the area that I want to be in. And so that made it very limited when you're looking at a certain price point as a single guy to buy a house. And unfortunately, where I live, house prices are not cheap. They're not cheap anywhere, but they're just extremely, like, they're just higher priced, I feel like. Like when I go down a county or over to the next county, things are like 50, 60, 70 grand cheaper for like the same thing. If you were to be in the county that I'm in, it's like sometimes 100 grand more just to be here, which doesn't really make sense to me. But, you spend 9 months looking at Zillow every single morning, you'll learn a few things. So that brings me to the point of my parents decided to jump into the rental game back when I was a child, and they had a property that they were going to list for sale. They offered to the tenants a year ago. They explained to the tenants that, like, listen, we want to sell this property. The market's really good. Will you buy it? They said no. And when they said no, my parents let the tenants know that, listen, someone's going to eventually come along when we list it or we just offer to someone. And there's no guarantee they're going to let you stay because they're going to probably make renovations. So the tenants were well aware of that. Fast forward to May, my parents said, hey, do you want to buy this property? It's only 6 minutes from our house. It's a single family home. It's a little smaller than what you want, but it is a doable project and you can renovate it because it's going to be under your original budget. I was kind of interested in it. And I got to the point where I just kind of prayed about it and I just was asking God what I should do. And I was talking it through with people that I consider wise. And I decided to take the opportunity just because it was within my means. So in May, I told my parents I'm interested. And then early June, they let the tenants know that we were asking them to leave. But because we were trying to be kind and be generous with the situation, because they'd been renting from us for a little bit, we gave them until July 31st, which was nearly 2 whole months. Well, during that process, we did a walkthrough. We also found that the house is kind of not taken care of. And by kind of, that's an understatement, but we didn't know how bad it was until we knew. But essentially, the tenants had additional people living there that weren't on the lease. They also had dogs and cats. They definitely had a lot of stuff piled up, but you could walk through it, but the animals weren't trained. And so the house smelled really bad. And we thought that was because of animals just going where they chose and just not keeping the house very clean. Did a walkthrough on my birthday of all days, actually, with the appraiser from the bank, and she appraised it. There was a couple odd things that happened. We were kind of concerned because it was July 24th. We asked them to be out by July 31st. During this time, the renters stopped paying rent for a couple months. And we were like, okay, we understand, you still are technically supposed to pay us if you're going to live here. But we pretty much told them at that appraisal meeting that if they would just leave by the 31st, then we wouldn't ask them to pay the rent. But if they don't leave on time, then we're going to still expect them to pay the 2 months rent that they did not pay. We made that very clear. We were just trying to help them. We were trying to encourage them. We were saying, listen, here are some other rental complexes. Here are some other houses. They just weren't going out and trying to find a place to live. So it was a little concerning on July 24th when the house was completely still there. There was nothing packed and they were supposed to be out in 6 days. It was also a little bit weird because this is kind of a side story, but I feel like it's important to note because I'm a Christian. I know I'm talking about my house horror story, but I'm a Christian and I can't help but see the world through a different lens. During this house visit or this appraisal meeting, the tenant was talking to the appraiser upstairs for a good like 10 minutes. We're like, where is this appraiser? And she was pretty much explaining to the appraiser that she was actually a Native American boy from like 200 years ago stuck in this female's body. And I walked upstairs and I heard this and I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And mind you, she had like crystals everywhere and she had like dream catchers. And then the last thing she said, she's like, whoever's buying this house, like that person, they're going to see some stuff because I'm pretty sure this place is haunted. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I rebuke this in the name of Jesus Christ. Like I have the Lord in my heart and he is going to protect me. And I'm just going to pray over this house as soon as these people are out, because I don't know what they invited into that house, but it is not something that's welcome with me. Because as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. And that might be corny to say, but like, it's truly something I'm like thinking about, because it's weird vibes, right? All right. Fast forward to July 31st. They don't leave. I don't know if I was surprised. I wasn't. I was kind of bummed. I was like, okay, like we have to take this and escalate it. So then we give them an extra week. We're like, hey, can you please be out by the 7th? They're not out. They pretty much tell us that we're stressing them out and giving them anxiety and they can't deal with it, which I'm sure we were, in the sense of like, we were asking them to like, please leave, but we also gave more than enough notice. We offered the house to them. Like we were trying to be empathetic, sympathetic people, but at the same time, you got to know that like, they didn't own the home. The home was going to be sold. They were also making the closing date hard because every time they didn't move out, we had to keep pushing the closing date, which cost me money. So from July until September 15th, I think that was the buffer that my mortgage company gave me to close. And if we went past the 15th, then I was going to have to pay $50 a day. Fast forward to putting the eviction in. Really sucks. I hate doing that, but it had to be done. So we worked with our attorney. We got the eviction all prepared and everything. Go to the courthouse to file the eviction. Now, this is not the renter's fault. This actually benefited the renters and screwed me and my family. I went to go turn in the eviction and the court said, you are not at the right court. The neighborhood that I bought in is technically in the same jurisdiction that my family lives in. But if you just go half mile up in the other neighborhood, that's like on the same area, it's a different court. So this court that I was supposed to file in told me, no, you have to go to this other court, do it. So I was like, okay, that's weird. Worked with the attorney. They changed the paperwork. They said that was strange. We agreed. We go to the other court. We file with the other court after we make them verify. We've made them verify that this was the right place to go, because I just got kicked out of the court we thought we were supposed to be in to file the eviction. They then made me go through all this hoops and crap of like making copies at the library. So I went to the attorney's office and it was just, they were not very helpful, but whatever. They verified that we were at the right spot. This court, of course, is not as timely. So instead of like a 2-week turnaround of like getting an eviction date, going to the judge, all these different things, it's like 4 weeks that we have to sit and just wait for this eviction date. They essentially get a whole nother month for free, all of August. The day before the eviction, we get a phone call at 4:45. You filed in the wrong courts. We're not going to have the court tomorrow. The court screwed us over of another month. So then we called our attorney and we're like, what in the world? We verified, we asked, what is wrong with the system? So then he went to the court that I originally went to, explained them the situation, asked for an expedited date, because now this puts me at a court date after the day that I'm supposed to close, because the court date was going to happen after I had to start paying additional fees to like hold on to my mortgage. To the point where I had to close on this house before I could even do it. But we had to make a managing agreement with my parents that they were still going to manage it, all these different things, right? Just a whole mess. The court actually was able to get us in within 2 weeks, which was nice, but still annoying that they screwed us over of the other 4 weeks. Fast forward to court pretty much saying like, listen, you guys haven't paid. They give you more than ample time to please like vacate the premises. Like you broke about 4 line items of the lease. There's not a whole lot that you could actually do. And so they got evicted. Then we got the police writ, which essentially meant that they had to vacate the premises. We were hoping that they would just leave. They didn't. 10 a.m. the day that they were supposed to vacate the premises, there was a big moving van that they pulled up that morning, and then they started finally packing their boxes and their bags. Well, sure enough, they didn't know or care to be done by the time they were supposed to. So it got to the point where they ended up, we helped them pack up things, which was just really sad and actually extremely awkward. We had to put things on the lawn so that they could claim them later because they didn't pack the van or their U-Haul truck or whatever. And we even left the shed open that they could just continue to go back and forth for a couple weeks for things they actually really wanted to keep, because a lot of the stuff ended up extremely damaged because it just wasn't good. I don't want to say anything negative because I'm just going to say facts, but I feel not angry at the people because to live in the environment that the house was left in was pretty bad. And the worst part is they could have told their landlord, which was my parents, to fix things. But because they were choosing to break so many things in the lease, that meant that they chose to neglect the house and actually destroy parts of it. So once they were finally out and we got all the stuff on the lawn, we were in the house and it smelled really bad. I was confused because I thought it was just the animals not being taken care of. There was just a lot of gross stuff. We were in the one bedroom and the floor was really soft. I was a little bit angry because I was on the hook for a lot of money for this house. And this house is kind of nasty. Like, it is just a mess. This is like, my name is on this. This is my first home. And I can't even, like, I can't do anything. Like, I thought maybe I could, like, keep the kitchen and then, like, renovate all the other rooms. And, like, the more I'm in here, the more I'm seeing, like, this is a complete renovation to the studs. Like, walls are going to be moved because it's honestly going to just be cheaper because I have to replace all the floors, all the walls, all the ceilings, all the lights, all the, like, the electrical, the plumbing, different things. Like, everything has to change, which is just a lot more money than I was expecting to spend on this. And it was kind of sobering. But we were in the bedroom. I looked at the floor because it was really soft. And I was like, why is this floor so soft? How do you break a floor? So I took an X-Acto knife and I literally cut the floor open and found a hole. I found like 3 pieces of like the baseboard that were just cracked open. I could like pick them up. And then I saw still water, still gray water. So that means I saw sewage under the house. Yeah. And as soon as you open that hole, it has just consumed the house. Like, even if someone wanted to move in there right now, you literally couldn't even squat in the house because it is that bad. So I found this thing under the floor. We poked it. It was liquidy human feces all under the crawl space, all under the house. So that was unfortunate. So I start cleaning up things along the fence line. It's like trash. But the thing that really tipped me over the edge to the point where I was like, I'm going to break down is I was moving. It was the next day after we found the sewage thing, after I was kind of processing like what I was going through. I had to go back the next day to fill up trailer of trash. And I was like, all right, I'll just pick up some of the stuff along this like little like overgrown line. And I find a bucket that had a bag that was leaking and it had human feces in it. And I was trying to move it and the bubble burst essentially, and then poop got all up on my arm. Okay. So, I had some wet wipes. I wiped it off. I almost threw up in the street. And before I found that poop bucket, and I think I honestly said it was blood because I put it in this like container I found, and like this like red liquid splashed against it, and it was like bright red. And everyone keeps telling me that blood turns brown when it's like too much oxygen or whatever. But like, I don't know what was in that liquid with the poop. It was nasty. And I was like, what is it? And to make it worse, before I found that bucket of poop, I found a book about soul serenity or seduction or something. It was a book on like gender fluidity, soul something. And then I found like a postcard for a psychic fair. And again, I said that I'm a God-fearing Christian man who loves the Lord, Jesus Christ. And I was so just disheartened because I know the Lord's going to like take that home and make it something beautiful, but like, it just was like, this is just nasty. Like, what is going on here? Like, Are you kidding me? I'm finding poop on the floors. I'm finding poop in buckets. I'm moving all this stuff. I feel genuinely bad for the people that they're living like this and that life has just made them get to this point. I feel pissed for myself because I now own all this. I feel upset for my parents because they didn't get paid for months on rent because they had to deal with that. And there was also a vandalism issue that I'm not even getting into because it doesn't really deal with the whole story. But this whole situation has just been so trying to the point where I feel like I'm just compartmentalizing like different parts of my life. So, with all that being said, that is my home buying horror story. It is, oh, wait. God, I almost ended the video without telling you. The house is also infested with fleas. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? But like, I've kept a pretty even keel this whole video, but I feel like the fleas just really took it to a new level. Like, it's just funny. It's just funny. It's hilarious at this point. Um, so I think the only natural next step is to do a video walking tour of the house, give a little commentary. We can't have any contractors do anything to the house until the poop is gone. Isn't this just the grossest story you've ever heard? So gross. It's nasty. It's terrible. So, yeah, brutal. What a brutal situation. Stay tuned for more.